to take this time to go ahead and reanalyze and re-illustrate you, and use that as an icebreaker. Okay, what that's done for me is that it's added at least another three policies this week. So I was sitting there going, wait a minute, I can replace all these policies, but the intent really is to improve it. So I have a client that she pays $225 a month for her term. She has a 20-year term. She has a table H rating from Transamerica 2 years ago. And based on what I've seen with Columbus Life, I said, shoot, I can get her better rated for sure. So I went ahead and illustrated it today. She gave it a thumbs up. There's no cost to her except for the fact that she has to go through her medical again. No big deal. And if we can shave off, some of that rating and also some of that premium, and that's a win-win. That's a win for her. It's a win for me. It's a win for iLeverage. So think about that, everyone. Tonight is about that. So,
Don, I have a question.
yes.
So when you do that, because I'm running into that, I've probably got a handful of people so far that when I've told them that that I'm working with another organization, they're like, "Well, are you still going to be my agent?" I says, "Well, if you stay where you currently are, then I don't have control over that anymore. But I always talk to you, and if you have questions." She goes, "Well, what do I need to do?" So they know they want to move it.
Right.
So when you do the 1035 exchange, it's so funny. I've been doing this a little while, but I've never done a 1035, believe it or not. But do you just basically have to have the company name and the policy, or do you
Yeah.
have to know? How do you know what amount, or you just give the policy and they work that out to know how much can move over?
Yeah. So you're gonna get it as accurate as you can, right? And there's gonna be a 1035 exchange form that will be filled out,
Mhm.
and that will be confirmed by the other insurance company, and they'll confirm the amount that will be kind of over, right? And it'll flow from there. That's all part of the whole replacement process.
Right.
Yeah. So good question.
Right. Great. So yeah, I've got a few of those. That's a good. I appreciate you bringing that up because I think we all have some of those that if we just talk to people, that we get that business.
Yeah, that's a that's a very simple thing to do. It's part of our duty to service our clients and give them if there's a better program out there, if we can put them in a better position. That was our initial outreach to them, was to put them in a better position, place some protection on them, protect their money, protect their families, etc. And so that duty never stops. It shouldn't. If you haven't yet, you should bookmark at least every 3 months a touch point with your client. It could be an outreach of some sort. Today I sent a couple to my clients, checking in to say hi, bro, because they're my golf buddies too, but they're also my clients. It doesn't have to be very formal at all. It's just, hey, you're thinking about them, all that good stuff. So it's 7:03. I'm gonna go ahead and start sharing my screen here because I want to respect everyone's time tonight, especially those of you who are out of state and are on different time slots than I am. But let me go ahead and get this going here. Thanks for all of you who are joining us tonight. I see a lot of names on the call. Excellent stuff. And if you can mute yourself, that'd be great. But I changed the location of my monitor, so now I'm now trying to track my mouse all the time. Excellent. All righty. All right. Tonight's topic, everybody, is 5 ways to get more clients. Okay. Welcome to iLeverage University. You guys all know me, Dondi Reyes. And if you have anybody that you want to reach out to, let them know that we're starting right now. I'm going to start off with our agenda here real quick. Our agenda is 1, we're going to talk about finding your niche, or depending what part of the world you're from, niche. Okay. Network your community is 2, prospect every day. partner with other professionals, nurture your leads. 5 key points I want to go through today. But before I start on that, I want to frame this. You guys know me by now. I always like to frame this because I think you have to have the right mindset. You have to wonder, like, why are you at where you're at? Or just kind of know and give some contrast to why am I giving this? Where were you at yesterday? Where were you at today? In relation to today's presentation. So some thoughts here. So on my right side of the screen here, I've got Thomas Edison, I've got Tony Robbins. But think about this. I like this. Tony Robbins says, if it doesn't work, try something else. And if that doesn't work, try something else. And if that still doesn't work, try something else again. Point is, keep trying until something works. It doesn't mean that if it doesn't work, try something else and then quit. No, you keep trying, right? Thomas Edison says, I have not failed. This is when he was inventing heavily. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. So in this business, if everything you've tried hasn't worked yet, keep trying. Keep mentoring, keep receiving mentorship, okay? Now on the left side, think about this here. I like to frame this really hard in my own mind day to day. If you continue running your business the same way, then things will most likely stay the same for your business. Plain and simple. You'll still be making the same amount of money you've always been making, and you'll still be getting the same kind of clients you've always gotten. And if you haven't been able to get clients for a while now, or have yet to get a single client, then by repeating the same things that you've been doing, you'll only ensure that you will never get that client. You'll always be in the same spot, in other words. So if you're looking for change, it's time to get uncomfortable. All right. So additional thoughts before we start tonight's presentation. Don't wait for money to change hands with your audience before you decide to guide them. Help them or make sure they are in a better place because of you. Don't wait for that. What this means is treat your audience as though they are already your client. So when you think of your audience in this way, you'll be able to create content. You know, if you think about them as a client already, you'll be able to market to them in a way that lets them know that you care about them. This is very important. It's very crucial when building a successful agency or business. One of the big concerns I hear people say is like, well, what if I'm telling them too much? What if I'm giving them too much information? Well, that comes from a scarcity mindset. People with this mentality, with the scarcity mindset, always hold back when they give their content. And because of that, they're not able to get leads, sales, or referrals or clients. You know, imagine if you had an ice cream shop that just opened near your place. You go to the shop and you see that many new and different flavors from what you've seen in that they have many flavors from other ice cream shops, and you're very tempted to buy one. But before you buy it, you want to have a sample taste of the ice cream to see if you like it. Okay, so I'm getting to my point here. So you ask the person across the counter if you can have a spoonful or to sample the ice cream. Most of the time, the shop will be more than happy to just let you taste it, right? Because they know you're going to like it. If you do not like it, you'll buy it. But what if that person on the other side said, sorry, Jack, no sampling allowed. Either you buy it or you don't. How would that make you feel? Chances are you'd be probably put off by this. You know, that's called a scarcity mindset. So you want to make sure that you're allowing your clients to taste the ice cream. So give them the information that they need. Okay. Oh, yes. Very, very great point. Let me record this. Thank you, Jeff, for that. All right. So that being said, I want you to think about this. You know, don't wait for money to change hands. Treat them like your client. Treat your audience as though they are already your client. I hear someone screaming, man. All right. All right. So let's go ahead and rock this. Okay. So number one of all the 5 points that I'm going to give you. Okay. Insurance agents. So finding your niche. Insurance agents often want to be all things to all people. We know that. But niche marketing may be the smarter strategy. Here's why. Concentrating your marketing efforts on one business class can help you build deep knowledge of an industry's risk. When you develop that niche, you become that big fish in a small pond. Sometimes the perils are obvious in the industry risk, but as you gain experience with a specific profession, your ability to evaluate risk improves. I'm reading some of this off of here because I want you guys to catch this here. And I'll give you an example is that in the past, what I've done is I would dive into an industry that I might not be too familiar with. And I'll get the example I'm getting at is the SEP IRA, right? There are some perils, of course, because if you don't know enough, you could get yourself in trouble. So what you have to do is you have to mentor in that area. So what I did was I found a mentor, a few accounting folks that knew how SEP IRAs were handled. And I kept developing that relationship. And then eventually they ended up becoming my client. Okay. So I had to build deep knowledge of this industry, this niche that I wanted. Now, if there's a particular industry sector that you want or demographic of clientele, make sure you dive into it and understand the needs and the risks and what does it take to play in that arena. Okay. Gain an advantage over your competitors. Clients are more likely to choose an insurance agent who is an expert in the industry. No kidding. You are the big fish in that pond again. They want to look at you and say, well, I trust you. You know what you're talking about. You call me back when I call you or leave a message. Raise your standing. Getting clients the appropriate policies at a decent cost is a good way to get a reputation as the go-to agent for the industry. You guys heard me earlier, before we even started this, I held an outreach for myself this morning. And one of my clients, like I was saying, she was table H on a policy that I ran for her a couple of years ago. And I told her, I said, I can potentially improve that. Why don't we go ahead and give it a run? She was all for it. She goes, wow, you can knock that down from 225 to whatever. Let's go. Okay, it's a win-win situation. So that was raising my standard, right? Raising my standard, giving them the appropriate policies that are at a decent cost. Okay, clients, we know budget can be an issue, but you got to be very sensitive to what their needs are. And also earning referrals. Okay, as your reputation grows, more clients may send business your way. And that's flat out. During our presentation down in Los Angeles the other day, what was so cool, as I think Jeff was up there speaking, my phone went off because of a client's sister who lives in Arizona. I said, okay, I'll take care of this. It's getting referrals that, when you're not even expecting it or asking for it, they just trust you in that arena. So to choose a specialty, start by researching which types of businesses or demographics are common in your area. It may be helpful to join a trade association, a community watch, read industry magazines online, typically, or at the grocery store to stay current on important issues. Know how to speak knowledgeably in that arena and focus your networking efforts on the people in that particular sector. That's really important in finding your niche. All right. So finding your niche, why does this matter? Let's read it off right here. When you define a niche, you become seen as a leader in that market. You improve your opportunity for income and lifestyle all because of this. That's a byproduct of it. Think about that. And you allow yourself a safety net that gives you the ability to branch out into new markets without the fear of starting all over again. So when you're a big fish in that little pond, it's easier to step into another pond because you already have that reputation. You already have that rapport. Okay. When you cater to a defined customer base, you create an ecosystem of opportunity that allows for your business to create a diehard fan base much faster than a business that is just looking to be seen as the solution for everyone. I'll come back to it again. Be that big fish in the little pond. It works really well. It's very effective for me because folks just know, hey, go see Dondi. He deals with that. He's the consultant. He's the pro. It's because I've played in that arena. And I hope you're finding your little arenas or maybe thinking about them right now because of that. So number one was find your niche. Okay. Hope you're all tracking this. Number two is network in your community. You already know that networking is essential for bringing in new clients. However, going to the same events may just get you in front of the same people. So you have to diversify a little bit, shake things up a bit by attending meetup groups. Meetup groups is actually an app. It's if you haven't seen it, it's called Meetup. And they hold everything virtual now pretty much. There's some in-person ones, trade shows. Probably gonna take a sip here. Trade shows are good to go. And I was invited to a gun show not too long ago. I did not attend, but it stirred a thought, and I reached out to some of my friends who are gun owners, and certain things just come into play with that helped me with my outreach and my networking. Local fairs, school board meetings, charity events. These are all areas where you can create engagement with your community. So think about those. Feel free to take a screenshot. Tonight, after this, I'll go ahead and create a PDF out of this and post it on our workplace. So network in your community. That's a very important piece. Let's go to network in your community 2.1. I'm going to add a little bit to this here. You might also volunteer with a nonprofit organization in your area. This is very, very giving for one, but it's very valuable. It's a good way to make connections, but it can also, like it lists here, engage employees that, who are part of that nonprofit, engage the business as well that owns that nonprofit. It strengthens your reputation. It attracts new agents. Folks in the nonprofit sometimes want to find a more maybe diverse, maybe they want to diversify their career. Community connections make your business the go-to when someone mentions insurance. Okay, when someone mentions, annuities, rollovers, etc. Plus, the activity will draw your team. Those on your team together, they'll draw your team together and give everyone a boost, knowing that this is another way to build their engagement. All right. So that's number 2. Let's go to number 2 again. Why does this matter? Why does it matter? Establish yourself as part of a community. You create business to business relationships. Marketing isn't cheap. Professional networks enable you to connect with like-minded people on a different level. One way that I do it is golf. Find what works for you. It could be bowling. Building a strong and diverse professional network embeds you within a valuable community, like it states here, filled with other knowledgeable and resourceful people. At one point, you're doing so much in that arena that you're networking in that, as simple as it is for them to demand referrals from you, you can do the same with them. It's a B2B business relationship. I teach that a lot of times. It's business to business. My business sells donuts. What does yours do? Oh, you sell pancit. If you're Filipino, okay, you got to try my pancit. Well, I'll try your pancit if you try my donuts. All right. That's B2B. On top of that, your referrals are like the best lead source. Your network of friends, customers, colleagues, acquaintances, family members, and like fellow alumni represent what is likely your most lucrative lead source. Your sector is referrals, without a doubt. Referrals have the highest close rate compared to any other type of lead source. So build these here. Build these with these like-minded people who are knowledgeable, resourceful, and who might ping you for support as well. All right. So don't be afraid to ping them for support. This is what I do. Okay. Let's go to number 3. Prospect every day. Now, don't get this wrong. When we hear the word prospect, we might think prospect like we did when we were at, the other KFCs and ABCs, whatever it is. Prospecting can also be a thought. So I'm going to define that here in a little bit, but let's talk about this. As a new agent, let's say you're a new agent, you probably spent a significant amount of your time drumming up business when your residual income started rolling and your sense of urgency may have faded, but no one expects you to spend half of your day looking for a new business. However, prospecting is truly necessary to sustain your agency, to sustain your business's growth. Set aside time each day. I used to schedule time on my calendar, and it would just basically block out 2 hours, prospect, go to the mall, prospect. And it didn't mean like I was going to go over there and have business cards and say, hey, my name is Dondi. Hey, my name is Dondi. No, it's basically learning how to live in other people's circle. What was important to them? Because folks love to talk. Okay. Read the local newspaper, pay attention to the business section, but look for any opportunities for engagements, announcements. These hold opportunities for you. These hold lead generation opportunities. It could be, the car lot guy. If you happen to go car shopping and you want to just look at cars, touch your dream car. I don't know, but think about, you might have a website, generating leads. Put features on your website that requests email addresses, like a newsletter sign up or get a quote. I know some of us have our standalone approach in marketing and branding, so that might be a thought to add. Calling business owners, cold calling is not always fun, but it's not dead at the same time. It could just be unpleasant depending on how you approach it. Sales might be your game, but even the most outgoing agent here can find cold calling a challenge. Trust me. I mean, I'm one of them. You have to plow through hundreds of leads sometimes if that's your approach, or you plow through a few leads, just depending on what you want to get out of it. But just to get your foot in the door with some of these prospects. And even if you get a sales meeting or an appointment, you're not guaranteed a client. So you got to build and nurture that relationship. Okay. So, but the point here is to prospect every day. Okay. Stay positive when you prospect, smile during calls or in person, do your research. Maybe if you're going to, in my case, if I'm going to an architects convention up in San Francisco, I might want to look at what's the latest and greatest project so that when I get there, I have something to talk about. If they bring up, hey, who's doing the new San Francisco BART railway from Tempe, Arizona to Vallejo, California, I want to be able to speak on that and just at least create that engagement. So do some research. Also don't be worried about social media too much either. Look at folks' LinkedIn, look at their profile, look at their business website before you touch base with them. You might find a common interest or shared connection that you can apply to it. At the very least, you'll gain confidence in just knowing a little bit more about who you're sitting with or standing next to. Okay. Now let's talk about partner with other professionals. Let's go back a little bit to the B2B. If you guys don't know what B2B is, it's business to business. I love B2B relationships because I'm a professional in this industry. And I hope you see yourself in that same light because it's really important for your own development and in your career because you bring value to the table. Reach out to professionals who might be interested in a similar clientele base, similar as yours. For instance, you may want to set up a lead sharing relationship with some of these folks, like what I list here: real estate agents, mortgage brokers, financial planners, accountants, and so forth. If you develop relationships with other professionals in your niche, check this out, your clients will appreciate your ability to point them to an expert who can offer what they need. Okay, it's a very good source because, how do I put it? As an example, the other week I was golfing with a bunch of buddies, and they know because of my tight circle of professionals, they know that they can get, a Thomas Bass. They know they can get a Jeff Delgado. They know that they can get, a real estate guy. They know they can get a mortgage broker. I mean, that's where your clients want to know you're the go-to person. Okay. It's a win-win when the other professionals point their clients to your business ultimately as well. It's very important to acknowledge that. Okay. So let's go on to my last point here. Nurture your leads. It would be great if every pitch led to a sale, you guys, but unfortunately, the insurance world seldom works that way. More often than not, prospects listen politely, say they'll think about it, and then forget your name. So you got to nurture these leads. That's why it's important to nurture them. Set up a system that keeps your agency top of mind while also promoting your value to their business. To do that, you may want to write blogs. I'm going through my list now here. Write blogs that demonstrate your expertise. Create short educational videos explaining different policies. Offer webinars that show how insurance can address their concerns. Send regular emails with valuable risk management tips. I touch base. I do have a LinkedIn that some of you folks follow. When I find a particular need, I don't blow my LinkedIn up very much, but when I do, I identify it because I know who's looking at it at that time. And hence, these folks contact me and say, hey, I saw that post you made of the SEP IRA or the simple IRA. I'm looking at a tax liability this year. How do you help me with that? Okay, so just don't underestimate the power of email marketing, or any of these lead nurturing techniques. If you send out a newsletter filled with helpful tips and advice, as an example, sales should soon follow. That's the key to the success. Become a friendly, well-known expert. and new business will come to you. I strongly believe that if you apply yourself really well, develop your niche, it's crazy. You're this SME, the subject matter expert when it comes to what we do. So I've given you 5 tips how to get new clients. And actually, I gave you 6 because before this whole call started and folks were jumping on, I mentioned the whole point about, if you have clients from, say a couple years ago that have, say, term policies and final expense are very easy to upgrade. And it's very simple to reach out to them and let them know that, hey, let's do an upgrade illustration and see what it looks like for you right now. So, that's been working out really well for me on top of these 5 points that I shared tonight. So let me add this next slide. All that I've given you tonight here, why does it matter? So think about this. I want to read this right off the screen here. There isn't a business that could survive without customers. I mean, that's why these 5 points are so key. They are the foundation. Your customers are the foundation of your business, giving you revenue as well as brand recognition. So that's why you always want to do business the right way too, because that's your brand. They're thinking about you when you're not around. It's extremely important to not just retain existing customers, but attract new ones too. And you do that by applying a lot of the stuff that I showed you tonight. Customers are always seeking new options, believe it or not, even if they already have their favorites. I love my Transamerica policy. Well, you might want to rethink that, but I have no problem illustrating and showing you what this one would do. And I recommend this because and you're the consultant, you're the professional here. Why do you recommend it to them? How do you apply that towards them and say, well, this company is known to table really well. You're an H with this company. If I can get you a D or better, you might want to make that move. All right. So stuff to think about. I'm going to go ahead and open this up for Q&A, but I want to thank you for your time. I'm going to unmute myself. You guys can unmute yourselves as well. If you got a question on, hey, what works for you, Dondi, or what works for you, how do you do this? Let's go ahead and take another 4 to 5, maybe 10 minutes on how to address that. Go ahead. Any questions? Want to mute yourself?
Dondi, I have a question.
Go for it, Alec.
How do you reach out? How do you follow back on a prospect that has cold feet? Someone that
has cold feet in terms of you've already presented to them before?
Yeah, like you're about to close, and then they were like, "Oh, I just need to revise this one more time," and then after that, you just don't hear back from them again.
It depends on the whole scenario, but a lot of times, for my clients, I haven't run into that too much. Basically, I do a lot of fact finding when I present to them, and then after the fact finding is done, I present and I address their needs. And then from there, if I've addressed their needs, is there any reason why they wouldn't want to move forward? They're sitting down with you for a reason, right? Now,
Yeah.
If you didn't nurture that client very well, then it's possibly going back to that whole point where they're going to listen, but they'll probably not do anything. They're just kind of wasting your time, that kind of thing. So it's okay to be to the point as well. I feel like my clients trust me enough to be able to say, hey, if this is not for you, it's perfectly fine. I actually did that today. I said, if you want to keep with what you have, it's perfectly fine. As part of my responsibility as you being my client, I want to make sure that I'm alerting you when there's a better opportunity, a better policy out there for you. That's why policy updates are very important, policy review.
Okay.
Now, let me address your point though, Alex. If they have cold feet, you have to really dig down and just look at them and say, tell me why you have cold feet. In a nice way, you can rephrase that definitely. And once they give you the truth, then you can address the truth.
Okay. Sounds fair. Sounds good.
Perfect. Anybody else?
Hey, Don.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, it was just a quick question about if your client was already rated one way, like as if they had they were rated higher than they had we had illustrated the illustration for it.
Mhm.
If we're trying to do something good for them, could we get them, and they did it without the meds? Can we redo the meds to actually where we'd have someone go out to see them when we didn't do it the first time? I don't know if that makes any sense, but
Yeah, I get what you're saying. What I've done in the past was when you have that relationship with the underwriter or case manager, it's all about risk, right? If you talk to them and you say, hey, could this potentially improve if we went ahead and ran meds on this client? They're considering running meds because we know that when you do an accelerated approach, a lot of times because it's accelerated, there's no meds. The insurance knows that they're accepting a higher level of risk, so the premium's a little bit higher than if they were to go through the whole med process. So if you had that open conversation with the underwriter, more than likely they'll accept it. Say, yeah, let's go ahead and run meds on them. That makes sense.
Nice. Thanks, Dondi.
Oh, you're welcome. Jack?
Yeah, I was just going to add to what you had said earlier, Dondi, is all of us, whether it's insurance or buying a car or a home or whatever we're buying, whatever it is we're looking for the best value. If something doesn't have value to someone, it's like trying to sell, a baseball to someone who could care less about sports. It's like it's got to have something worth the value, or they don't want it. So you had made a good point about. Says, what does it hurt? Says, I know you have a policy, we got a decent rate, but what if we could get you a better rate? It doesn't cost you anything to give it a shot. Let's run the illustration. Let's see what we can get. And if I can get you something, the same amount of coverage for less money, or just make it better, or a better rating, is that something you'd be interested in? And then let them answer it. Like you said, some people will just flat out go, they don't want to take the time they don't want to deal with it. So they're going to say, no, I'm good. But you'll never know unless you give it a shot. You know what I mean? So, and you're looking out for people. Just look out for them. Obviously, we're in this business to make money and make a living and improve our lives along with the lives of others that we associate with here in the business. But at the same time, we're not doing anything for people that's bad. We're trying to do something that's good for people, especially people that aren't covered at all. So, if people aren't covered, we should be working really hard at saying, look, that if something happens to you tomorrow, are you satisfied with what you leave behind?
Right.
And that's not in a bad way, the way I said it, it's a way that makes thought provoking, you don't have to be a jerk. It's just thought provoking. That's
Right.
it. Sure. Thanks.
I love that, Jack. I really do. Thank you for that. Hey, John.
Hey, I want to add on to that because Jack, you bring up some really good points there. And I think a lot of times in insurance, a lot of times people get caught up in the transaction, caught up in the product, and you focus on the benefits of the product. And there's no saying this. If you know what the consumer wants, you'll make a good living. If you know why they want it, you'll make a fortune. And the point to that being, you got to peel back the layers a little bit and maybe back up off of the product, back up off of the cost and the benefits of the product, and back all the way up. When you're revisiting these folks, that are balking, back all the way up to the why. Back it all the way up to, why are we meeting? Why did this come up? Why are you even thinking about this at this time? And the question then becomes, what's important about blank to you? And it's very important that you phrase it exactly that way. What's important about the money? What's important about retirement? What's important about getting this policy to you? Don't leave off the to you, because if you just say what's important about insurance or important about getting insurance, they're going to give you a very generic, public, neutral, lukewarm answer. If you ask them very specifically, what's important about this to you, to your family, you're going to get down to the why. And when you get down to the why, now you've got something you can work with. Now you've got something tangible you can work with them, because it is a trust purchase. It is an intangible purchase. And you got to get past the money and there's the benefits of the product and talk to the heart of the person. Why are we here? What are we accomplishing? It's a bottom line, guys. A lot of times the insurance is about the peace of mind. It's about they had something happen. It's an emotional purchase more than most. And when you get past the product and talk to the person, you got a client.
That's a great point, John. And I want to go back to what you said there. It's an intangible purchase. What we do for clients, what we give them, they can't really wrap their arms around. Of course, there's the physical policy itself, and you have to get past that sometimes. And that getting to that why, getting to that why do they feel that way? That what struck a chord for this conversation, that kind of thing. So those were some great points, John. Thank you.
I'll give you an example. And it's not an insurance example. It's actually a real estate example. I sold a home, and it's a very poignant one, and it's one I'll always remember. I sold a home to it was a single guy, made good money in the tech industry, and he was in a wheelchair. He had an accident. He was in a wheelchair, and he was really got cold feet. As he was at the final decision point of going forward or not going forward, or actually was in escrow on his house, and he was really had cold feet on it. And there was something that came up. The square footage was a little bit smaller than what was printed, so he used that as and I'm like, okay, that's just not the real answer, because that's not, what's 10 feet, right? When you're buying a house. And so I said, you know what? His name's Adel. I said, Adel, well, let's do this. You and I go back over to the house. There's a reason you liked it when we saw it. There's a reason. You and I go back there and just see what it is. We went there, and you know what? We were in that house for probably a half an hour. He's rolling around. He's checking things out. We didn't talk one word about the house. We didn't bring up one thing about the conversation. We just chatted. We just friendly. We just, kind of hung out and talked about life and nothing else. Didn't talk about anything to do with the transaction. The time we were done, he said, you know what? I like the place. Let's go forward. He had to make another emotional connection to it.
Very good. That's a very good
It'll
point.
always stand out for me. And it's no different here with the policies, you guys.
Alex, did you catch that? That emotional connection there? That's good. Good stuff.
Yeah, these are good points, John. And when John and Jack were talking, I was just like, man, I missed a lot of stuff that I could have potentially said to my client. And I'm thinking like, damn, that's why I lost him. Like, oh, he just left.
I have a question.
Go for it.
This is Durema. What do you do with the client when they have told you, I don't want insurance, I just want an investment with an S&P, and I don't know what to do. I'm kind of stuck now.
So what was their investment need? Did you get down to that nitty gritty?
She has an 8-year-old that she just wants to have an investment, but she says that she doesn't want insurance. And she's got enough insurance, is what she says. But then we found out what kind of insurance, and we were going to make a comparison. And somehow or another, she just decided, nope, she just wants investment.
Right.
And I'm kind of stuck. I don't know. I lost her, I think.
Let me add to that. Dondi, because I know who she's talking about.
Okay, good.
She's got another agent in her ear who is a Primerica agent who said, "Do not add." He wants her to put it straight in the market, and that's part of the challenge there.
I think ultimately, Durema, is what is their goal? Like, if they want an investment, depending on their age, their criteria, how much. Right? And once you understand their goal, like you mentioned, they have an 8-year-old, and I didn't catch all of that. I think if I understand correctly,
it's a savings for the 8-year-old.
Yeah. And so we all know that the IUL works perfectly solid when it comes to putting away money for a child. Now, the other aspect of it is educating your client to understand what is her idea or definition of insurance. Right? If she's looking for investment, is she just looking for money to grow, put away, then that's the IUL right there. It also could be an IRA, a fixed index annuity, depending on, you know.
Andy,
Yes, Mark.
let me chime in real quick. That was a really good question. And as far as offering products, there is a national life product where you don't need to do a rollover. It's an annuity product. It's called the Fit Secure Growth, where you don't have to put any money down and you can pay by the month.
Yep.
Okay, you actually really do pay a monthly premium, and that would be a good savings for a child, like a 452 type deal. But I just wanted to chime in there and say that was one of the products that we do offer with National Life.
Right. Yeah, you can open that one up with as little as $100 a month. If that's
Well,
what
she's already said she wanted to invest $500 a month, but she does not want insurance.
There you go. So what you do is you take what Mark just said. If you have National Life on you, illustrate it and give her the illustration. Let's go. Here you go. Let's talk about it. This is a fixed index annuity, and then, I think I have a feeling, John and Mark, you guys might agree. I have a feeling that she's thinking that insurance is just life insurance, period, in general.
Yeah,
You did.
Yeah. So if you need help outside of that, Derema, I know your upline or vice president, senior vice president are totally capable of supporting you in that. If you have questions, you got.
Yeah, Derema, that is exactly what Dondi said is true. It's not just life insurance. As a matter of fact, the Fit Secure Growth with National Life is not life insurance at all. It's actually an annuity, which is just geared for investments. And it's almost one of those set it and forget it. And we can put it on a Barclay to make sure that she doesn't lose one single penny. We can talk after, or we can talk tomorrow. Dondi has my information, and I can definitely help you out.
Okay.
Awesome. Anybody else?
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Does anybody else have a catchy element going on right now? I mean, you got some big hitters on this that can answer a lot here. So this is great.
Well, I was gonna, relating to the question earlier, just a few minutes ago, I was wondering if when somebody is from another company and they're saying they don't want insurance, they're saying all these things, as an agent to set up the conversation to compare the two, is that what you do in order to get to the conversation like John did in front of the house?
Oh, you're talking about that person had that Primerica person there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ultimately,
is it our job at that point to just make the illustration, show it to her, and then go from there?
Yeah. If you know enough, hold on 1 second. If you know enough, then I have no problem illustrating, because that's such a useful tool. I already know enough and said, here's our discussion point. You already told me enough to create this illustration. Now, in terms of the Primerica agent, and you got other agents, and they're in the background from other companies sitting with them, my conversation leads to, what are you looking to accomplish? Now, if you're going to dance around and talk to all these other agents and you're not going to do anything, then I don't want to be part of that. I'll say it in a nice way, but at the same time, but what are you looking to accomplish? And if you can address that as a iLeverage agent, then, top billing, you should go after that. Who was chiming out just now?
That was me, Dondi. I was just going to say, a lot of times we just need to listen to the needs. And she was really clear about saying, I don't really need any more insurance, but I do want to put $500 a month away. That should be bells going off in your head by going, you know what, we can help you with that. Mark just gave us a great option that we can use for just investment only, and guarantee them based on the Barclays, and tell them they'll guarantee not to lose any money. There's two positives right there. And once you have someone that goes, I like this, quit selling it. once they said, let's go, I like this, what do we need to do next? Quit trying to prove what you already closed, if that makes sense. Because you can talk your way out of a deal if you keep trying to close it.
I want to do a little role play here for the benefit. Because I could do this. Dorema, I could ask you to call me after, but I want to do this and because it might help as far as an example. Dorema, can you come off mute for a minute? Can you hear me, Dorema? All right, I'll just do it later. I guess she's not there.
He already left.
Oh, her thing's logged in here, so I don't know. All right, well, never mind. I'll just talk to her later.
No
I'm
worries.
here.
Oh, you're there. All right.
I'm not really good with this thing, so I've been tapping and tapping and tapping.
That's okay. What you got to do is tap me on the head, and then it'll work. So let's role play a little bit, Dorema, just for that, and the group can kind of benefit from this too. It's really, I'm going to do it here. You kind of know this client a bit, right?
No, she's a referral. I know her sister.
Oh, okay. So, but do you know what let's just role play and let's just pretend like you're her and you want to put this 500 away for her grandson, right? Is that correct?
Okay.
Okay. So let's just use your thoughts and heart and go with this. So, Dorema, what's important about you putting that $500 away for your grandson?
Well, I know that we're getting a little bit older, and he's. I would just want to make sure that I don't want to leave him without anything. So I'm just interested in getting a good investment for us.
Okay. So you don't want to leave him without anything, and you want to make sure it's a good investment. Tell me what's important about it, about you not leaving him without anything. What's important about that to you?
Well, here's my thing. We adopted him not too long ago.
Okay.
And I want to make sure that he is well protected with some kind of investment. I'm willing to put away even up to maybe $1,000 because I can afford that, but
Right.
I want insurance with it.
Right. So you said but you just kind of restated the same thing in a different way. So it's important. You want to make sure there's something put away for him for future, right? What's important to you about having something put away for him for the future? What's important about that to you? About him having a savings for the future?
I don't know.
Well, if he was your grandson, let's just say, what would be important to you about that personally?
Now, if it's my grandson?
Yes, that's what I want you to do.
Okay, for my grandson, yes, I would want to make sure that there's something put away for him because he is, well, not an only child, but maybe he may not go to college, and
Okay.
maybe he may get some situations that happen in life. And I
Okay.
just want to make sure that he's got something to fall back on.
Okay, so it's important to you that he have something to fall back on. What's important about him having something to fall back on to you?
Well, really, my thought would be that I would want to leave him, I guess, a substantial situation where if in case he couldn't work or he had something to happen to him, that it would be there for him.
Okay, cool. So let's go into the future here. And you've done that. You've done that for him. You've put it away for him. He's protected. He's taken care of. He's got something put away for the future. That's all done. That's behind you. What's important about you having done that for him? What's important about that to you?
Well, I could rest easy and know that I've done the best that I know to do for him and make sure I've done my due diligence to do what was important for me to make sure that he is going to be taken care of
Right.
after I'm gone.
Okay. And then so after you're gone, he's taken care of. And is there anything more important about this situation to you than that?
Maybe down the road, but right now, no.
Okay. All right. So it would be, would it be safe to say that it's important that whatever you do for him remains in effect and is safe and is not at risk? Would that be an important piece of it?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because after, you're putting your heart and everything into it. And I can tell it's very, very important to you. And that's why I wanted to have this conversation. And it's important that whatever you do for him is protected, is not at risk, is always going to be there for him, no matter what happens in his world or in yours. Would that be a true statement?
Right. Yes.
And that would give you the peace of mind you're looking for. Is that right?
Right.
Right. And I think that's why we want to kind of revisit what your options are here and take a look at the benefits and stack up side by side what these offer in it. So I'm going to break it off there, but you guys see what I'm doing there is I'm going past the product. I'm getting into her heart. And do you see how she got stuck on she said the same thing 3 times in a different way about having the savings for him, blah, 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 blah. And then I took her past that. I took her unconsciously past that by going, okay, you've done that. I physically went, you've done that. It's behind you. Now, what's important about you having done that to you and how does that make you feel? Her first answer was peace of mind. Now we're having a real conversation.
Exactly.
Now we can go back and look at the product from a different angle, from a different perspective. And it's not just about, I don't want insurance because somebody told her, don't ever save in an insurance plan. I just removed that off the table because I didn't. Do you see what I'm saying? And that's the power of that question. What's important about blank to you? And you keep repeating it. And then when they get stuck, you take it off the table. You've done that. Now what? And I've had people in tears by the time I'm done because when I die and go to heaven, I know my job's complete in life. It depends on how far you want to take it. But when this is the level of conversation you will get into in a real relationship with a real client. And when you take it out of a transactional, you got to get it out of the transactional mode in your head to get past this stuff with the clients. Otherwise, you're just another agent trying to sell them a product, and you're talking with commission breath as far as they're concerned.
Thanks, John. You know I know how to do that. Okay, I got it. I'm going to go back.
All right. Well, I just wanted to break up that blockage, and then sometimes that's how you got to do it. You got to make a connect, and and it's called peeling back the layers. Most people don't think beyond that third question, and most agents don't even ask the second one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And John, if I could make a comment about that, because even within that, it's an example. But as Dorema was like exchanging with you, when you started to ask those questions again back to her, it was almost like it really got real. I mean, the conversation got real too.
It gets real.
In this whole example was also like taking it in like, wow, like how do I even answer that?
You guys, as agents, don't be afraid to get real. You're talking about real life. And don't be afraid to get real. And I'll tell you what, that's so stuck with me. Sandra and I spent $1,500 each for a 2-day class on exactly that conversation about 15 years ago, 10, something like that. And it stuck with me. And it's being able to move people. What's important about on a recruiting level, what's important about success to you? When you're doing the financial needs analysis, I get that out up front. What's important about money to you, and get to the emotional part of it.
That's right. That's
and
actually
you won't have these debates with people.
That's actually a good upcoming training topic, John. Is fact find. Yeah, is how to fact find the right way. Right.
Yeah, it's called and it's based on a book from it's called High Trust Selling. Okay, and it's you can look up a guy named Bill Backrack. He was a very, very successful advisor in the San Diego area.
But I think part of fact finding is getting to the root of it is getting, for some people, it could be uncomfortable. And as we know, you have to get uncomfortable and get past that. And also when you do, I believe that the person on the other side, you know, hopefully they can see that you truly do have the best interest for them.
Yeah. Yeah. It really is. And it's not that I think it's uncomfortable only because we're not used to getting emotional with other people and with our clients. And the reality is it's an emotional transaction.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be, if you want to do this, if this is your career, you want to change lives, you got to be willing to get emotional and have that conversation with them. They'll tell you stuff that they won't tell their family.
Yeah.
When you get real.
It's amazing how much people tell you. Strangers, that people you don't even know, they tend to tell you a lot.
Once they trust you, but you got to let your guard down and you got to be real with them, and you got to not be the salesperson, and you got to be the advisor, consultant, and have a real conversation.
Great.
Anyway, sorry we elongated that, but I thought it was might be worth the.
Truly worth it, John. You know, everyone here, just so you know, is that the resources here are phenomenal. I strongly believe that what everyone gets out of our trainings at iLeverage is more than you're going to get in 4 years of school, really. When it comes to this industry, especially, I mean, like I said before, we have a deep bench. You know, we have, you know, John, we have Jeff, Mark, we have all the players here. You know, everyone here has something to bring to the table, truly. You know, it's such a great resource to have that helps you make these smart moves and make big impacts on your clientele, your client base. So that being all said, you know, use Workplace, use Facebook, Mastermind Alliance to communicate your concerns. Those are not just for posting celebrations. If you're stuck on a question, use that as a tool. Hey, do we have final space for someone with diabetes and a missing head? No, just saying, right?
Hey, Dondi, on that Workplace, we can start little groups on the side with that, right?
Yes, you can.
You're familiar with how that works? Maybe we can start a little group called I Got a Guy.
Yeah.
Just for that scenario.
I
got a guy. Hey, I got a guy, and this is the deal. Can somebody help me? What do you recommend?
Totally. You can totally do that. As a matter of fact, we can set it up right after this. So, okay. So thanks everybody for their time. Appreciate you attending tonight's training. Looking forward to more. Hope you got something out of it. Reach out to all of us here. We're here to help you and help you make a big impact on what you're doing right now. So that all being said, have a great night. Take care.